Hi, I'm Deanna from Ribbon Candy Hooking. I decided, almost every night and sometimes throughout the day, I'm on the computer looking at auction sites online like eBay, Etsy, Ruby Lane, regional auctions, and I'm looking at hooked rugs and what's out there and whether something I'm collecting has appeared on the market. And I thought, why not record some of these times when we can look at rugs together and look at things in terms of value, composition, famous makers and brands and patterns, things that you might be looking to collect, what's good, what's bad, what's overpriced, what's on target, what's ending soon, what's exciting, what's there now and you'll probably never see again in your lifetime. So let's look at some of the listings that are on tonight and see if there's anything that's interesting for us. You can look for this series of videos about 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay, so let's see what is on eBay for us today. It is, you can see on my screen, November 8th, 2020. You know what I often put into eBay? Sometimes I do hooked rugs. Sometimes I do hook rug with no ED. I'm going to put in hooked rugs for now. Now, just notice that when this comes up, if you're not familiar with eBay, over here you can choose gallery view, and then you can see more quicker. Now, one of the things that I often do with eBay, you need to move a space away like I am here, do minus, and then you can add phrases that you do not want to see included in your search results. So I'm going to do minus latch. Nothing against latch, but there's a lot of it. I also want to point out up here, the sort by button means it's showing you the best match. And right now, the best match means the things that the most people are looking at. So it means the most popular things are coming up as best match. I'm going to do, let's start with highest first. Let's look at what is costing the most. Now, some of this is going to just be garbage and have absolutely nothing to do with anything. And you know what you can do in this case? They're going to show you a lot of sponsored items. To bypass that, add the word vintage, antique or vintage, one or the other, but it's going to prevent you from getting a lot of brand new rugs. Let's see what the most expensive rugs are right now. Now, it's always going to show us sponsored items first, which is kind of a pain. Let's look at this. Here we've got a Rigby cutter. So they're going to show us things other than rugs as well. Let's look at this lot of two, a pair of vintage hooked rugs. These two rugs seem to have nothing in common except for maybe the person who made them. So for $99 with free shipping, this is shipping from Green Harbor, Maine. These are kind of pretty. These are sort of primitive. You expect them to be number 8s, a lot of shading in the background. They don't look like they're particularly new, so that's kind of nice. That's a nice lot. Interesting. Now, when you find something that you like, something like this, it's like interesting. I wonder how they got two rugs into one lot. You can scroll down to, it's different on the phone, to the seller. Where'd the seller go? Come over here to right here. So on desktop version, this is the seller. With this seller, they have a store set up, which means they pay to have the store. You can either list stuff and have things appear X amount before eBay starts charging you ridiculous amounts, or you can set up a store for as little as like, gosh, I think my first store was like maybe $20 or $15 a month or something. So you can see I'm searching within this store, and I'm just going to put in rug and see what other rugs they might have. So again, I'm going to switch to gallery view. You can see she's got a few rugs. She's got 4. Um, so these are them. They look like they might all be hooked rugs. This one says 1960, the Bears, but I'm not sure that that's homemade. I'm not sure that these are. They might be, but the first two that we looked at to me looked the best. For hanging something up on the wall, something like that. You can see she's got some nice folk art. So let's see what else is coming up. These are not particularly expensive rugs, so I'm confused about why they're coming up in highest price first. So strange. Let's see. It might be that all these are sponsored. Now look at this. This is an interesting lot. Oh, these are 3 already hooked rugs right here. So this is interesting. These are a little bit dark. This is, we talk about this style a lot. Partial floral, partial geometric. They're 3 matching. You often get pairs. You rarely get 3s, but you can see there's a lot of trouble here. Who knows what that is? Let's not guess. Let's press on. Now, look at a nice lot like this with 3 dollhouse mats. So that is the key. People do collect just dollhouse sized rugs, tiny, tiny, tiny hooked rugs. There is a market for it. It is a small genre market. You can see these are yarn made. Look at how tiny and fine these are. So these are going to be teeny, teeny, tiny. But they're all three different. This one here's got problems, which is a shame because it's the prettiest one. It might be it had a miniature candlestick on it or something that rusted up. But let's go down and see if they're telling us how big they are. They're all 5.5 to 6 inches across. That's actually a lot bigger than I thought. So for people who are in the market and they're saying it's punch work, so I would believe that it's punched from behind these tiny little dollhouse mats. But with a lot like this, you're going to be competing against dollhouse collectors too, which is sometimes tricky because they seem to have unlimited pockets. Now let's look at some of the patterns that are coming up. This is so strange that we're having a sort of glitch on eBay tonight because normally the most expensive rugs we see are super expensive, and you can see we're immediately at the $15 range. Let's see some of these that came up. Somebody's been listing burlap rugs. These weren't up yesterday. So, okay, this is the Heritage Rug Company in Providence, Rhode Island. We've talked about them a lot on Coffee Time. Beautiful scroll work patterns. Now, when you pick up patterns like this on eBay, they're going to be burlap and they're going to be old. This is very pretty design with this sort of cluster in the middle and the very simple scroll around. When you pick up these burlap patterns, you know that you are going to have to transfer them with whatever transfer method you like, whether it's the red dot or the fiber tape or whatever, netting. You're going to have to transfer them onto, or you should transfer them onto something else like linen, monk's cloth, whatever your favorite is, because for $15, that's a great price. $9 shipping. This comes from Hope Valley, Rhode Island. I think I know what store this is coming from, actually. I love Hope Valley. Um, you're going to have to transfer them because that burlap is prone to rotting, and you don't want it to rot soon after you hook your rug. It's going to be fairly fragile. It's worth keeping the pattern. When you keep the pattern, you are certainly allowed to keep an archival pattern, which means the original, and either trace and sell one copy or keep it for yourself. Now, we're also seeing rag balls. So people know, and antique people know at this point, that rug hookers hook with everything, including rag balls, and certainly early hookers hooked with rag balls. You're seeing a lot of these coming up. They are a lot each, and the shipping is outrageous, so I don't know that I'd go for that. Hey, look, it's the Blue Nose Rug Hooker. I just ordered this weekend because we've had a full week of Blue Nose talking on Coffee Time. Look at this kind of nice stuff that you find. When you see something that you like you look at something like this and you say to yourself, interesting, inspiration. It's a little catalog from 1947. It's a Dritz catalog, but they have some hooked rug stuff in there. I would like to know every time there's a Dritz catalog posted on eBay for sale, I would like to know that. You are able to put in a search, and I'll show you how in a little while, so that you immediately get notified by email when something comes up that meets the criteria of your search. So if you're specifically looking for this book, Pearl McGowan, Hooked in Color, ironically, it's an almost all black and white book, but it's a beautiful book, you will get notification immediately of that. So it's giving me very few results, and I don't know why. So what I'm going to do is remove the word latch. Maybe it's because I had rugs in plural. eBay can be glitchy. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It can be super glitchy. This makes more sense. Sometimes you don't know what you did wrong. I mean, I've been on eBay since the very, very first days. I have pioneer status. How crazy is that? But this is what I was talking about. We're looking at a rug that costs $100,000. So I'm assuming that was hooked by like JFK or something like that, because that is extraordinary. $80,000, $18,000. And there seems to be something strange going on here because with these one-of-a-kind rugs, we've got multiple listings. This, on the other hand, I can justify. This is an extraordinary pattern. I feel like we saw something like this as a McAdoo rug. I know they did a shoe pattern. It might not have been this exact pattern. We'll find out. But I mean, this really is quite good. It's very, very steep. But I remember when we did our coffee time about the McAdoo, there was a shoe rug. It's not going to be this one though. Handmade vintage American hooked rug, original condition, which could mean anything, so be careful about that. Magnificent rug made between 1950 and 1960, and then describes it a little bit. For that much money, you probably want a bit more of a description. That's an extraordinary amount. But it is a glorious rug. So that is toppermost, poppermost of the food chain here. So you can see some of these rugs are, they're quite pricey. We're in the thousands here. To be honest, I can't justify. Some of them are not even hooked rugs, and that is also very eBay. Stuff like this one here of the bridge, I personally can't really justify that, even as a one of a kind. That's just a lot. You can see a lot of people do put best offers, so they're hoping that you come in with something reasonable, as high as possible. Now, this kind of thing kind of falls into the middle ground. This vintage American hooked rug cow, people who like cows. I was just at a market today and I saw a Vermont Cow Rug. It was made in Vermont. It had some pedigree. It was nice, but this one I would have a tough time paying $1,500 for. It's a very nice pattern. I believe that it is a one of a kind. The way that the back is finished all looks very new. It looks quite new. I know a lot of time goes into everybody's work. It looks old. If you look at it close up, you can see there are some different materials at play here. There's different textures. There's certainly different materials. It's a kind of a stripy hit or miss background. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for that. It's not particularly old. This pig here looks a little bit older. We're still talking about a lot of money. Even if you are searching for a pig with unlimited funds, you want to make purchases that make sense. This one is signed KP 93. So I'm assuming that we are talking about 1993. I'm certain that we are talking about 1993. So this is not an old rug. For $1,450, that is extraordinary. It's a very nice rug. But certainly that is a bit too much. So you can see how when you do these searches and you start with highest price first, just out of curiosity, let's go in a different direction. Let's look at the newly listed ones first. The most expensive are number one, depressing, number two, give you stomach cramps, and very hard to justify the cost of most of them. So this is what has come up newly. We're seeing some latch stuff again, which is fine. Oh, look at a blue nose pattern came up. How pretty is that? These are the hand-colored ones. At the end of that book we were looking at on Coffee Time, we saw little photos and bios of all of the colorists at Blue Nose through the ages. This is a nice one. Let's see what it's saying close up. This is a nice pattern. It's giving you color suggestions. Blue Nose pattern, 2057, 32 by 51. Rug can be made oval or rectangle. Isn't that interesting? Look at how they've done that. You can leave it as an oval mat, or you can sort of beef out the corners with the color and make it a rectangle. Interesting. Now, $9.90 and $8 and some odd cents. That's not a bad price for that. You can buy it now, you can add it to the cart, or you can place a bid. If you buy it now, it's going to be $20, so you're looking at $28 total with shipping. But that's a nice thing. We're getting lots of latch, right? And then there's some expensive rugs again that are being sponsored. So let's come back up here and do minus latch and see what else has posted recently. It's still going to show us the occasional latch, because also if people misspell latch, it'll still come up in your search results. Now look at this one. This one's really cute. You see a lot of dog rugs, excellent for its age, minor pulls, to be expected. This is very 1920s, 1930s. I haven't seen this exact pattern, so it's without looking at a book, it's hard to pinpoint it, but it's very, very graphic. What an Art Deco border on this. Really, signature colors, signature shading, very, very deep shadows in black on an otherwise really light Jack Russell. This is a beautiful rug. They're showing you a little bit of loss. They've got to be honest, because they know that you will return the rug if there are issues that are not described in pictures. So if that's the loss that we're looking at, that is not much loss. This person is offering, for those of you again who are not familiar with eBay, this person is offering this for, you start the bidding at 240, or they're saying make an offer. So if this has been up for a few days, oh, this is from Marston's Mills, Mass. I used to live there. That's on Cape Cod. How cute is that? But, you can put an offer in. If you put a ridiculous offer in, the person's probably not even going to answer you, because they're going to think it's absurd and insulting and, a bit of a button pusher. But if you put a reasonable amount in proportion to what they're asking, whether you think what they're asking is reasonable or not, they probably will answer you at least with a counter number. Now there is our friend Yale Susan Burr, only $6.99. So you could get that for just over $10 to experiment with that. We're seeing new rugs come up too. There's our patterns again. Now look at this. This is quite an interesting one. Looks like a one-off kind of a rug, very folky, beautiful dark horse with horseshoes and cherries in the corners. Interesting. And a fence. Isn't that different? in a little fence with a little tree. Very, very simple. You know, not super well done. It's not a great photo either. A couple of loose snags. But, you know, $46 plus $12.55 shipping, not bad. That is a really unusual rug. Certainly that's not a commercial pattern. That's something that somebody's done and they've experimenting with filling this space. There's an issue with the front leg of the horse, them being so close together. It kind of looks like one shape for the front legs, and the back legs, as a result, look a little bit skinny. But you know what? That's what folk art is. And the fact that they've tried to do something with shading in the background, they've kind of done like green here, green on the other side, but they forgot to put the green bar behind the horse to kind of keep the consistency going. Who cares, right? This is all part of what folk art is. It's very different. It's very unique, homemade. If you like horses, if I was more into horses, if I was less scared of them, I'd be tempted to get this rug, because it is very handmade and unique, and it's very sweet. It's a good, strong graphic. Now, there's some other things like this coming on. I've seen this rug this week. I've picked it up a few times and looked at it as a page. Near mint condition for its age. $45 for this. That's its buy it now price, right? So there's no bidding. You just buy it. This has this kind of a strange Victorian frame on it. By strange, I mean gorgeous. It looks like a kind of bamboo type frame. This is done in yarn, so this is a punch rug. The interesting thing about it is it's framed up in a very Victorian motif, this sort of postcard, oblong kind of off-centered wooden frame. But then look at what they've put in the center. A real kind of strange melange of flowers that look more 1930s than they do Victorian. So curious, really curious. It really makes you wonder. It's such a different rug. It's got beautiful directional sort of movement on it. The colors are vivid. The colors are good. They're very simple. It makes me wonder if it was some kind of an Aunt Lydia's kit or something like this. The corners are done beautifully. There's not a lot of color in this rug. It's basically orange, green, and ivory. But it's something different, and it's not expensive. It's not for everyone, but it is a curious thing. It's caught my attention several times this week. It's not exactly my style, but it is fantastic. Now, you know, we do get a lot of everything. I'm going to click on this because we're all seeing it. So this is like an Americana theme for a rug. So this is super insensitive, and I'm hoping it's super old, and I'm guessing it probably is. Yeah, it looks like it really is. So, you know, for people who collect Americana, um, you know, particularly this genre, it actually is a gorgeous rug. There is a huge market for this. It is very primitive. It is the ultimate in folk. It is beautifully done with a color changing yarn in the background, in the sky, and in the building behind. It's watermelon is the troubling part, but it is a gorgeous rug, and it is on buy it now. I'm guessing that the seller anticipates having an issue with selling because of the subject. But again, this is a chapter within collecting. Americana is a very strong market, for lots of reasons, and I don't think any of them nasty or bad. But I haven't seen that rug yet. That one kind of surprised me. But it is a beautifully and technically done, gorgeous, and it is a happy looking rug. So we've got some rugs that come up. Claire Murray. This one is certainly like an Aunt Lydia type thing over here, the covered bridge. We get some coming up that you will recognize as kits. Here is a kit, right? It's an Aunt Lydia's. They say kit, but it doesn't actually come with the tulle or the yarn. It's just a pattern, and it's kind of a paint by number kind of pattern. It tells you what color threads, because of course Aunt Lydia sold threads too, yarns. So they expect you to buy the yarns that go with this rug, and you would do that separately. So it's not that those kits are ever missing anything. It's just that you would have to buy that separately. This one's been up for a few days too. This is an unusual modern, really different kind of a scrap rug. Usually when we see scrap rugs, they're super geometric. They follow old quilt designs. This one is completely striking out on its own. It's not particularly old at all, but you know, it's colorful. It's a very different scrap rug. It's got a lot of movement. Um, it is quite pretty. It is quite pretty. It's not old, but it's quite pretty. I'm putting it definitely in the last 20 years. But you know, for modern art, it's beautiful. It's got a lot of color and movement. It's not an expensive rug at 34, and it's also a make an offer, so you can always come in a little bit under if you love it and it matches something or it just speaks to you. It's got a lot of movement and energy. These two chair pads came up over the weekend too, and they're both beautiful. Look at this beautiful fall rug. Now let's see, this is signed. Gives us the size, but so far not the year. What have we got going on in the back? Yeah, see, I'm always real suspicious when I see that on the back. I know it's my bad nature, but it looks like it could be a machine-made back. You're not seeing the loops on the back. So, it could be that somebody really took the time to finish it exquisitely, but more often than not, when you see that kind of a fabric back, as opposed to seeing loops, it's often machine made. I'm just not sure about that one. I don't know what GT would be. If it said CM, we would know for sure it was Claire Murray. Um, but no, I'm not sure about that one. Now, this is a pattern that comes up a lot, the clamshell, the scallop for good luck. This is a nice pattern to buy, and again, you would need to, with the burlap, probably transfer it onto something, but it's in quite good condition. This is a pattern by Mrs. Carl F. Hall in Rye, New York. So that really is lovely. I'm guessing that's more like a 1980s era, maybe 70s, but really pretty for $40 plus 10 shipping, Concord, New Hampshire, or make an offer. So, I mean, when you get a burlap pattern like this, it's really up to you whether you feel like you want to transfer off the burlap. With the old blue nose ones, I definitely would. But it's really up to you. It's your call. This Grenfell rug has been up for a while at 500. I'm going to click on it even though it's disturbing. The Grenfells always sell well. There's a huge market for them. I think the subject here of a hunter brutalizing a seal is the problem for why it didn't sell, because in terms of style, it's stylistically perfect. That iceberg in the background, the one iceberg under the right arm of the character, the costume of the character, the pose, the shape of the legs, the ice drift that you're seeing the front of and the sort of round shape behind it, the colors of the sky and the water blending, absolutely perfect. The detail of the shirt, perfect. The problem is, I think, the dead or dying seal. Very troubling. So this has been on for a while, and again, I think it's the subject. For a collector of Grenfell, of course, you're gonna want any Grenfell, but that is just for the lay person who is not a collector of Grenfell, it's a bit troubling. So we see things like this too. This could be like a Claire Murray design, but this is certainly going to be machine made. Yep, without a doubt, without even pulling it up. A yarn rug. So this was machine punched. It's a beautiful motif. There's no reason to shy away from stuff like this. You don't. Everything that you own in your house doesn't have to be collector's quality, right? This is a really charming and whimsical carousel with non-traditional animals, right? These aren't horses. These are non-traditional animals. Can't get close enough to see what company's doing this, but it's probably made abroad. And there's probably not a real name that's associated with it. But you know what? For a kid's room, when you know it's going to get trampled on anyway, it's a really well done rug. If you look at the colors of the canopy, that is beautiful. The horse is beautiful. This suggestion of some kind of a serpent or mermaid on the left, beautiful. The gentle looking rabbit, very, very sweet. And even looking at the poles, the way that they're shaded, the metal part going up into the gold part, really, really nice rug. It's expensive for a rug without a name that's machine made. But you know what? I bet there's not another one of these on the internet at all right now on any site. So if you really wanted this carousel rug and it really charmed you and captured your imagination or reminded you of sunny summer days down by the amusement park or whatever that we haven't had this year, then you know what? Maybe you pay the money for it. It doesn't offer. I saved it in my watch list. It probably charmed me when I first saw it. But yeah, I mean, you pay for it if you really love it. You're not going to see another one of this rug probably in the near future. I've only ever seen this one on eBay. Very cute. Not old, but very cute. So let's see what else we can see. This is another cute one. Two terrier dogs. These look like Boston Terriers. This is real cute. This looks like it's got quite a pile on it. It could just be, yeah, I mean, it's just a thick, primitive. The loops are really pronounced because it's been well used, but it looks to be in good condition. And just like the Jack Russell we saw, they're using very deep shadows. That's real typical of 1920s, 1930s art. You get like your black and white dog, but or black and white and brown dog, and use a lot of dark shadows. Um, it's just the style. It really works graphically. It looks super cute. These are adorable dogs looking over a little fence with some tulips, all pairs of tulips. It's a lot of pairs in this, and for me, that's what's throwing the composition. You've got the two dogs and two sets of two flowers, and then one flower each flanking the sides like bookends. You don't usually want to do a lot of stuff in pairs because it's troubling. I would have liked to see an odd number of flowers in the front in terms of composition. But having said that, if I had Boston Terriers, I would certainly buy this rug. It's not a crazy price. It's not in perfect condition at all, but there doesn't seem to be a ton of loss, and it does have some age. I would definitely think that this was 30s, 40s. The style is a little bit earlier, but I would put it at 30s, 40s. So there are some interesting rugs in here. We're not going to look at all of them because there's thousands, and Latch is coming up, of course. Ooh, look at this one. This is going to be a new one, but this is real pretty, isn't this? Let's check this out. $80. You can make an offer or you can buy it for that. Isn't that nice? That is nice. It's in Pennsylvania. It's a new primitive. It's a vase design, very symmetrical, really pretty, beautiful fall colors. That's really pretty. And if you like something, you click this button and you add it to your watch list. And then it's there to watch. It'll remind you, why isn't it adding? There we go. It'll remind you when it's getting toward the end. It's nice colors for fall, this one. I quite like it. But if you like it, get it first. Looks like it's hooked in maybe a 6, something like that. It's a table mat, a runner. Then you get things like this that are interesting too. Are you up for a challenge? This is a great idea for a challenge. This cute rug, Hiawatha Heirloom. So this is a Rhode Island company again. So somebody started it. And it looks like they started it in yarn. So they were working from behind. I think maybe this is the front. Yeah. See, this is the front because they're punching it from behind. So it's nice and bright up front, but you're not having the lines. The lines are on the back because it's punched. So imagine if you wanted to finish punching this rug, they have essentially completed the floral motif. So if you were a nut like me and you wanted to do it in like the rest of it in neon green and fluorescent pink, you could do that. You could pop it any way you wanted to pop it because the hard part is done. It is on burlap, but it doesn't look bad. It might be just fine. Again, the hard work is done. There's a lot of work in this. So buying something like this, for $20, I'm going to put this in my watch list too. It's $28 with shipping, or you make an offer. Could be really fun to finish that, right? I mean, come on. It doesn't have a crazy amount of shading or anything, but it's just somebody's already put a ton of work in that. And let's not think about what happened after that prevented them from completing it, because it's such a lovely thing. This is really nice too. This is the granny squares kind of design. They're saying shag. Okay, so this is a latch rug. A lot of people who are not into rug hooking don't really know the difference between latch and hooking or punch. It's not their specialty, but this really is a well done rug. It is a latch rug, so it has a crazy pile on it. You can see that was the back. It's got great colors. It's definitely a 70s thing. Hippie boho is a good way to describe it. It is quite attractive. I like it more from the back. It looks more like a mola kind of design. So let's say that you were looking for, we're not going to look at everything, and different things come up every single hour of the day. Let's say you were looking for something specific, like you wanted to see what they had for Claire Murray. You just type that up here, and let's see what they have. They're going to have clothing and a lot of other things. So you can search by category too. If you come over here on the left, you can see arts and crafts, fabric. Certainly she has clothing. Let's look at hand-hooked rugs. I would question whether any of them are hand-hooked rugs, but they are hooked rugs, and we love Claire Murray. Look at this, her classic cottage design here. $100 or best offer. That is good. That is really good. Now this fish rug is one of her sort of classic collectible rugs with the lamb's tongues on the bottom. That seems like a really good price for that. I am not a fisher lady, but if I were, I'd be really interested in having that one. You don't see that one often. eBay is where you find the variety. This Claire Murray one here, the vase, typical primitive motif. And again, it's signed CM. So be careful when you see that, because we've been tricked by that before. We've seen people writing CM and thinking it's a signature, and it's Claire Murray. So it's not really a handmade rug the way that we think of it as hookers ourselves. But this is a beautiful, very traditional motif for her. Certainly not the usual. This is more the usual. Cottages and this kind of thing, the vegetables, pairs of vegetables. How gorgeous is that? Remember, all Claire and Murray rugs are going to be hooked with yarn. They are not punched, but they are hooked with yarn. Absolutely gorgeous. She did so much with vegetables. $2.25, or you make an offer. Shipping's only $20. You know, not bad. So if you sort of have a fixed thing, now these are not accidents. You can see when this happens, these two rugs are sponsored. They're by the same person, I think, because they look like they're on the same driveway. They've paid a little bit extra to sponsor them. So it's not like repeats or they're being shady. It's just that they have paid a little bit extra for there to be a double ad of it. This is one of our absolute classics, the Nantucket house that says Home Sweet Home. So if you were looking for something like that, you would just type in the name and it would pop right up. Let's say you were looking for a blue nose. I'm often looking for blue nose ever since our coffee time. You're going to get a lot of weird stuff, right? We know that the blue nose is also the dime, thanks to our buddies online. So let's put in rug. I'm not even going to put hooked rug because some people won't know it's a hooked rug. Then we've got other things pop up, like some of the blue nose designs, the rug hookers, patterns that are available, some pamphlets, and this is the actual, I posted this in the group, this is the actual one of the two. I think this is the best selling of all time, this and the Three Bears, but this I think is the #1 of all time, the actual blue nose, ready to be hooked with beautiful shading. Again, with this you would want to transfer it onto a different backing to keep it safe, and you would want to keep this as your archival copy with the color suggestions. And if it were me, I would frame this. You know what? I don't even know if this is the blue nose. This says Flying Cloud. I don't think this is the blue nose. It's a blue nose pattern, but it's not the blue nose. This is a different boat. So I take it back. If you're looking for the blue nose, don't do this one. But this is a beautiful, giant ship. One of these themes that crosses over into men's interest. It sounds super sexist, but you know, historically there have been rugs that were done just for men in mind. Let's look at if we were going to do like a pattern. So let's say we looked up rug hooking pattern, and just to keep it modern, I'm going to put linen for people who like linen. Then it pulls up for you. It's only going to pull up right here. You see 121 results. It's not going to be endless, but you can see Father Christmas, and there's a little snowman. There's some nice, I'm not seeing any kits. I think you'd have to look for that specifically. But some of these are color sort of indicated, like the paint by numbers. Different people putting some up here, some new sellers, some people who maybe bought it and realized they were never going to do it. There's some beautiful ones up here. It's really something to think about. This is really pretty. Gravestone Girl, isn't that different? Gravestone Girl on linen, primitive rug hooking. I'm going to add that to my watch list. That's real pretty. But I mean, you basically look for whatever you look for. Let's do one more thing and then I'm going to log off. We'll look next time. I know there was some really good rugs ending too. So let's do hooked rug and let's see what's about to end. Sometimes you can get a bargain by searching for ending soonest. By jumping in when something is about to end. Sometimes the seller is really inclined to take an offer. This one I thought was really interesting. This one's been on all week. It hasn't gotten bids. It might in the next 41 minutes. Don't think that just because rug hookers are nice people that they do not snipe on eBay. They do. And it's vicious. Someone, you know, if this rug is in your heart and you already have a place on your wall for it, do not be surprised if literally 1 second before the auction ends, with an app that does it for you, someone somewhere bids on it, and it, you know, there's no chance of getting it. Nobody's bid on it so far, but it doesn't mean that in 39 minutes someone doesn't. This is like a, you know, a chess head, like a horse's chess head. It's such a different composition. I've never seen anything like this. It's really different. It's really beautiful. Again, it's going to appeal to people who like horses. And if it does not sell by the time this video is posted, it will most likely be relisted. So you can always look for stuff like that. If you miss bidding on something in your watch list, you dropped the ball, you weren't paying attention, and something goes by you, just check and see if they've relisted it. Probably they have. This is getting crazy. This Mackenzie Childs Rug. I was looking at this earlier. There's hardly ever Mackenzie Childs rugs on eBay. So this has got up, as you can see, to 152.50, and I'm guessing it's going to go quite a bit higher. It's got another almost hour and a half to go. There's 4 bidders. When you're looking at something like this and you really want it, so this is not a traditional hooked rug like we make and we talk about, but I just want to show you who she is because her rugs are always going to go for a good amount. Sometimes I check to see how many different bidders there are. So we've got 4 different bidders. And by the look of it, this person has only got 2 bids in. This person probably logged on to buy just one other thing, and this is the second thing they've liked. So they're probably quite serious about the bidding, right? With just 2 bids, they probably really want this, right? They're really picky about what they buy, and they've already bid over 100. So I wouldn't be surprised if that person jumped in at the end. I wouldn't be surprised if all of these people jumped in at the end, plus 20 more. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So let's look at, just for fun, who is Mackenzie? Mackenzie. Whew, am I tired? Childs. Yep, misspelled it, but they caught it for me. Let's look at the images. So she is a designer. Let's look at specifically rugs. She's a designer. Her stuff appeared, it's very sort of 80s, 90s, even heading toward 2000s, in really expensive high-end department stores and boutique shops. But you can see she has a real look. The sort of checkerboard is her look. Her rugs rarely come up, but when they do, they are usually quite expensive. They go for a lot. It is hard to find them. Even if you were checking out a different website, you can see when you scroll down like this, you can even click shopping. If you want to see if any of these are, for example, on Ruby Lane, on eBay, these are in overstock and these are not her. So be careful. They're showing you completely different rugs. Now, okay, Neiman Marcus has this rug for $195. This rug is showing up for $175. They're not showing you what sites they're on. $695, $1,695. So if you were looking for her specific rugs, okay, this is new and it is currently for sale if you want to spend $700. So, when you're searching on eBay, hey, if you like her, put a bid in quick. I probably won't get this video up in the next hour. It'll be about that time. But this one is called Flower Market, 100% wool. It is machine made, but it is in the style of a hooked rug, like a Claire Murray. But going for just a little bit more in terms of exclusiveness, that where it's sold, the sort of people who originally bought them, it's high end. It's high end, to say the very least. You can also find nice things like partially done patterns, wool bundles, things that you would find anywhere. So we'll look some more in a few days. We'll look at some other sites like this one that I know you know. Don't just, Etsy is a lot of crafts and handmade stuff, but they have a little bit of everything. It either has to be handmade or vintage to be on Etsy. These are new hooked rugs, and they are gorgeous. They are absolutely gorgeous, and people selling patterns. So if I search for particularly vintage hooked rug on Etsy, I'm still getting 3,686 results. That's still a lot. I would have to question whether these were all vintage because clearly some of them are not. Some of them will be like vintage inspired or whatever. But you'll see, for example, right off the bat, these 2 I'm looking at right here, including the one in the middle, very Pearl McGowan, exquisite ones for not very much money. So don't discount Etsy. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that gorgeous? Look at all that great directional hooking. That really is beautiful. What a different design. This is how you like things on Etsy. So don't discount Etsy. The windows pop open differently there, but they're going to have a lot of beautiful rugs here for you to look at too. Oh, look at the border on this one. Isn't that different? It's a little bit worn out, but you can see they went completely sort of renegade on the border by putting this red mottled border. This rug is not in super good condition, but color-wise, it's gorgeous. It's different. Here's one more to look at before we get together and do this again. Ruby Lane. You probably know this one too. You need to join all these separately. It's just a thing. But it is it's a small one. It seems to be getting smaller rather than bigger. But they have a little bit of a high-end clientele, and it becomes a little bit harder to grab things when you see them. things are a bit pricier. They start higher. It's not auctions, it's fixed prices. So for example, this is quite good. This folk rug for 120, that's not bad at all. This was 12.50. They often show you things that have already sold, and that kind of breaks your heart at times. But they do have some pretty rugs. This one over here is sort of shades of Magdalena, really pretty horses. Is this, yeah, I guess that's a hooked rug. I thought it was a latch for a minute. But you know, they're very different. They're not going to be the same sellers as on eBay. You're not going to see any repeats. But you see some rugs that are affordable, and then you see others that are much, much higher. So it's worth looking on this too. This is a classic, isn't it? The one with the little, um, I love this one. I forget what this one is called. It definitely has a name. Somebody will know and help me out with the comments. The little chicken or hen or whatever it is with the basket of eggs going to what looks like a schoolhouse. And I've seen this flag done as an American flag, as flag for just about every country. You see this design a lot in antique stores. So, and you see also on Ruby Lane, they often give you the chance to make an offer or to write to the person that has the rug. So, you know, in your travels around the internet, when you're looking for inspiration, here's this mosaic one that we always wonder. It's very hard to tell whether this is broken glass from like Cushing, like the Pearl McGowan, or if this is the Rhode Island's heritage pattern, sorry, broken glass, as opposed to the mosaic. Cushing has the mosaic one and Heritage has a broken glass. They're super similar. This looks more like broken glass to me, much smaller pieces. But it's fun to just cruise through and see what you can see. See if there's anything for you. Make some deals. Put some offers in if you're completely heartsick over something. Just send an email and see how far you can get with the seller. Everybody wants to make money right now. It's a tough time for people selling, but hopefully this gives you an idea of what's out there. Oh, this is a nice matching one that goes with that rug, and $57. It's probably quite small though. This gives you an idea of what's on eBay right now. So I'm going to log off, but have a ball.